I'm curious. Obviously, I create Stoicism articles and podcasts, but I've never immersed myself in the way that you have in writing Stoicism 101 for 6 months like that. How did your approach to Stoicism, your relationship to it, change, if at all? Like, were there any kind of areas that deepened or surprised you as you fully immersed yourself in writing this book?
Yeah, there were quite a few. I hadn't ever really delved into what people kind of term as the Stoic theology, and so that was something that was a bit new for me. And what that entails is the idea of the logos, which is to them kind of their idea of what God is. It's a divine, uh, powerful principle. It's the thing that runs the universe, if you will. That it's the reason why there's something rather than nothing. It's why the planets move in the orbits they do. It was kind of their way of going, these are the things that are unknown, but are that we know exist because we can see the stars, we can see the planets, we can see the sun. There's matter that's here. Why is there something that's not? And so it was kind of their way of ascribing the great unknown, but to them it was a benevolent force, not unlike God, but not a personal God that you would, you imagine sitting on a throne in the sky with a long white beard that you would talk to, but just more of a goodness, a power, like I said, almost a force within the universe. So that was one big thing that I hadn't ever really dealt into. The second big thing was its impact on Christianity. So I went through that and kind of, looking at the early Christian church and how much it borrowed from Stoicism. And a lot of the early Christian thinkers, like Tertullian and some of the others, were very much had studied Stoicism before they found Christianity and brought a lot of the Stoic ideas into it. And at one point, there were these fake letters that got circulated around that were supposedly between St. Paul and Seneca. And so they considered Seneca as a kind of an unofficial saint, that he's one of ours, even though he was never baptized Christian, never professed any Christianity, but that his ideas and the way that he spoke and thought, they looked upon as being almost like a kindred spirit. So that he was kind of like an adopted saint in a way, which I found interesting. And then over the years, they were like, yeah, those letters didn't really exist. This never would have happened. And they, through archaeological evidence, found the letters were falsified, but they were written kind of in the style and voice of Seneca and St. Paul. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing.
That is cool.